What's up, guys? Hey, how are you? Oh my gosh, that's a copyright right there. Oh, YouTube, forgive me. Anyway, what's up, guys? What is up? Hey, guys, we're just gonna share this real quick to other platforms, but welcome. All right, welcome. I'm looking forward to the conversation. We're gonna get some questions answered. Um, And so if you have any questions about your situation, trust me, we're going to get to it. But before we do that, please, guys, do me a favor, hit the like button if you just joined. Also, let me know if this is your first time. If this is your first live, I want to give you a shout out. So let me know if it's your first time and also where you're tuned in from, just so I can give you a shout out. Really appreciate it. It's kind of helpful to know these things. So I know where you guys are watching from. We're going to be live for at least an hour, maybe hour and a half, you know, maybe. But again, thank you all for joining. All right. Let's see here. Mm, Let's see. Okay, let's do some shout outs. We got So Blessed. It's the first time from Detroit. Shout out to you. Melissa Brzezinski. I might have said that wrong. But from the Bay Area. Shout out to you, man. We got Hill Hildelisa. If I said that, if I butchered the names, bear with me. Okay, I'm trying to make sure I read it right. Okay, but Hildelisa from Nassau, Bahamas. Shout out to you, Stony Gangsta Boys from the Netherlands. Shout out to you, man. We got Dallas in the building, um, Chicago, Florida. All of you, thank you so much for being here. All right. And so today's topic is how will I know that how will my ex know I've changed if I'm in no contact? So we're gonna touch on that first. I'm gonna kind of give you my thoughts on that, and I'll give you my thoughts on that, and then afterwards we will hang on here, and then afterwards we'll get into the questions. So if you have any questions, definitely type them in, okay, and we'll get to as many questions as we can. I'll tell you this, I answer super chat questions first. The reason is because it's going to get packed in here pretty soon, and once they get packed, I won't be able to answer every question. So if you want to skip the line, if you want me to prioritize your question, make sure you send the super chat and I'll answer the question first. Okay, so that being said, we're going to share this one more time on social media, let people know that we are live, and then we're going to get started. Uh, Okay. All right, let's get this show on the road. Again, shout out to everyone. If this is your first time, welcome. I'm looking forward to the conversation. So, so here's the deal. Anytime I get people telling me, "Hey, how will my ex know that I've changed?" If I'm in no contact, they express some of these things that were wrong in the relationship, or specifically certain things that they had issues with. And all of a sudden, you've kind of realized the things you did wrong, and also maybe you've been watching videos, and you're like, okay, I, I was a little needy, or I was a little insecure, so I want to show a more mature version of myself. I want to show that I'm not the same person. Why shouldn't I just call them and express these things to them? Okay, this is by far one of the most common questions I get is, how does no contact make things better, right? If I know I made mistakes in the relationship and I want to make it right. And even if it's not big mistakes or huge mistakes, like you were not showing up as the most attractive person and you want to kind of flip the script. Here's what you need to understand and how your ex will actually know that you've changed. There's a few things that you have to know. First and foremost is that before your ex chooses to leave, trust me, okay, people do not leave relationships out of nowhere, because a relationship essentially represents security. It represents safety. Okay, this is probably the one person on earth that you share your deepest, darkest secrets with. This is the person that you share your body, you share certain levels of intimacy that no one else has access to. So for the vast majority of people, they don't just leave a relationship on a whim. Most times they at least consider it for some time, whether that's days for your ex, whether that's weeks, and for some people, especially very anxious people, it may have even taken them months before they decide to walk away. So why is that important? So understand that if a relationship signifies safety, what gets your ex to a place where they willingly walk away from safety means that you have done enough things, at least from their perspective, that makes them feel like staying in the relationship is a bad decision. Okay, whatever that looks like, it may be something as innocent as wanting too much time. So I'm not saying technically what you did was wrong. I'm just saying from their perspective, emotionally, you had to have done enough to trigger them, for them to feel that staying in the relationship is not in their best interest and is not safe. So they pull away. Sometimes you'll even see them pulling away emotionally before they actually said the words, before they actually broke up. So this is important for you to remember, because that means that at least at the time that your ex left, they already have a certain perspective of you. They have a certain belief about you, about who you are, about how you feel about them, about all of the mistakes that you made. And most likely that perspective is negative. It's important for you to come to terms with that. And you may say, okay, well, they have a negative perspective. Well, let me turn the tables around. Well, I want you to consider something real quick. Let's let's look at an extreme example. I was talking to someone, and this example popped in my head. I want you to think right now, especially those in the United States. If you had to cast a vote for the president of the United States today, all right? Let's say you had to go into the ballot today and you had to cast a vote. Who are you voting for? Now, now politics is very controversial, but this is just a thought experiment. I don't need you to type it in the comment. I want you to think about that. Who are you likely to vote for today if you had to vote? Now, whatever your answer is, obviously you likely don't share the same beliefs as the opposing candidate. Now, I want you to imagine that the opposing candidate, for whatever reason, part of their marketing strategy, they're going and they're knocking door to door and giving everybody a pitch. And so they come to your doorstep And someone said, I'm voting for Kanye. Cool. Well, they come to your doorstep. So let's say you wanted to vote, in this case, for Kamala, and then Trump shows up at your doorstep, and he explains. He said, "Hey, I've had a change of heart. From today, I stand for everything that is opposite from what you've known me to be." Okay. He says, for whatever reason, I got a vision from God, whatever he says, from here on out, I actually stand for every single thing that Kamala or the other candidate stands for. My question to you is, one, how likely are you going to believe that Trump has changed who he is? Again, I'm not saying one person is right or wrong. That's not what I want you to focus on. You can flip it. All right. If you're a Trumpster, flip it. The point is, you're not going to change your perspective of that person in an instant, and likely not because they're telling you they've changed. You're just not. Okay. And this is something that people struggle with because, again, a breakup, you feel helpless, you feel hopeless, and most people, you want to do something to fix it. So I want you to think in that extreme terms, right? Because politics is very polarizing. For the vast majority of people, one, you won't believe that this person has changed, and two, even if they say they have, it's not going to influence your decision. Okay. So the reason this is important for you to remember is that it's going to take some time for your ex to actually believe that you've changed. It's going to take some time and them seeing, right, without you constantly trying to tell them and show them. Because if anything, you telling them, it's the same thing as this political candidate knocking at your door. It just feels like they're trying to sell you, right? It feels disingenuous. Obviously, you want something. That's why you're going out of your way to prove that you've changed. The only thing that is believable, at least from your ex's perspective, is that you don't have to tell them. They just see. Now, the other thing why it's important is, for the vast majority of people, in my experience, you probably didn't handle the breakup perfectly. So it's very likely that you portrayed yourself in a needy, desperate way. Not everyone does this, and it's to a lesser or greater extent. It just depends on your nature. Now, if you behaved in a needy way, and by the way, if you just tuned in, please do me a favor, hit the like button. I really appreciate it. If you joined because of the topic at hand and maybe you missed the intro, what I'll say is, after the live, after I get through all the questions, you can go back to my channel and you'll be able to find the what you came for. So as far as the topic of the video, right? How do I show my ex I've changed? That's what we're talking about right now. But if you want to watch the whole thing, you'll have to wait until the live is over and then you can jump in. But I really do appreciate it. Hit the like button for me. Okay. So, for the vast majority of people, you probably portrayed yourself as needy, insecure, desperate. And even if you were just trying to fix it, just trying too hard. And also, your ex has probably been in a breakup before. So, we have this natural expectation, usually, as the person who walked away, you just kind of feel like the other person wants the relationship more than you. So outside of your ex needing time to actually see that you've changed, there's also a perspective of they expect you to chase, even though they're not going to give you what you want initially. So the first and most easy way to show your ex a different person is to do opposite of what they expect. It's to not chase them, to be the first ex in their whole history. Maybe your ex is an avoidant and they're constantly breaking up relationships and running and walking away. Well, you want to be the first person that doesn't chase after them, right? So again, there's a shock in that. There's a hurt to their ego. And that's when they start to question, did I make the right decision? Am I walking away from someone important? So it's very important, and what I wanted to stress in this segment is that there is nothing that you can say for the vast majority of people that will show your ex that you've changed like you never contacting them. Nothing. You can call and text, you can talk to their friends and their family and do all these things and bend yourself into a pretzel to show them a different version of you. But again, they'll never take you seriously until they actually see the change for themselves without you having to initiate it. Okay. Anyway, that's that segment. So we're going to go into the question and answer section now. So if you have any questions, I want you to drop them in right now. I'm going to start with the super chats first. So I appreciate it. I do the super chats first because again, there's going to be a lot of questions. I get overwhelmed with a lot of questions. So the super chat is an easy way for me to jump, kind of for you to skip the line and for me to prioritize your question. Otherwise, if you cannot do a super chat, that is fine. Just drop your question in the chat. Don't spam the comments, please. Don't send your question a million times. I will see it. I won't be able to get to every question. So, again, thanks again. Okay. I appreciate your support. I appreciate the questions. Let's start. First super chat is from Made Me Smile. Says, good stuff, big bro. Thank you. Question: how do I show my ex I've changed after no contact without showing that I changed just for her or without bragging? Because won't that seem insecure? So that's almost exactly what we were talking about in this video. The more you try to show her that you've changed, it just comes off as disingenuous. So showing her that you've changed, all of these things that come off as more attractive benefit yourself. So it's not something that you have to tell her you're doing. It's something she'll just kind of notice on her own. She'll notice on her own, either one, when she starts to miss you and she starts snooping on your social media. Trust me, she's watching. I've coached enough dumpers and dumpies. The dumper watches, even if they're not saying anything, they're probably watching from afar. Very common. Because let me tell you why the dumper watches too. It's like because breakups are very emotional and also depending on how you handle the breakup, it's almost like when you're driving, right? Have you ever been driving on the highway and you're like, man, like there's a little bit of traffic and like cars are kind of slowing down and you're wondering like what's going on, and then you look to the other side of the highway and there's a terrible wreck. And so there's actually no obstruction on the highway you're driving on, but because people are curious and they're slowing down to look at the tragedy. Sad to say. So even if those initial moments of your ex snooping or looking and checking for what you're doing is most times to just see how you're handling the breakup, it's a little bit of curiosity. They are watching you. And so the easiest way to show that you've changed is to just make your life better, but do it for you. And whether they see it on your social media or they hear from someone that hears from someone else, or just even having the emotional self control not to chase them, these are all things that come off as very confident and extremely attractive. Okay. So that's what you do. Made me smile. There you go. Next question is from Pino Black. Thank you for the super chat. It says, me and my girl were together for over a year. We never argued, but the one time we did, I said some hurtful things that made her look at me differently. It's going on 2 months now, but I still reach out once a week, but no progress. Well, you're not doing no contact. That's the first issue. And a lot of times, this is what's tricky for most people is that, a lot of times you're hyper focused on what she's telling you the issue is. I'm not saying that she's deliberately lying to you. Sometimes this is what's called cognitive bias. She may have lost attraction for you, and so she's logically trying to justify, well, why would I leave a guy who loves me? And then she goes to, well, remember that time 6 months ago we fought and you said this. I'm not saying that's like exactly what's going on, but I'm telling you, in my experience, Especially women attach more emotionally in my experience, and so a woman doesn't willy-nilly just walk out of a relationship just because. If she was super invested at the time and super in love with you and you hurt her, her first instinct most times isn't to leave. It's to figure out why you did that. It's for trying to get you to make amends, but still staying, trying to get you to prove yourself, trying to get you to really build that trust and security back into a relationship. If it's like you say one thing, depending on what you said, and it's just she's done, she was probably not even locked in. I've seen women put up with the worst of things, and I'm not saying this is right for them to do. Put up with the worst of things and justify and make excuses and make explanations because they're still emotionally attached to the guy. So, the one big thing is you constantly checking in every single week is not a good strategy, and you're not helping raise her attraction. Uh, what else did you say? Again, I don't know exactly what you said to her, but my gut feeling is that's not why she dumped you. It's a lot deeper than that. And the only way you're going to find out is if you stop chasing her. Don't message her once a week. Let her go 2 weeks and wonder, like, huh, he hasn't said anything. And her attraction will creep up for you. I can bet. We can bet money on that. But thanks for your question, brother. I really appreciate it. Let me say this. I will try to get to as many questions as I can, okay? But if you're tuned in and if you're watching, thank you all. It really means a lot. It's a blessing to be able to have these conversations. I know that the coaching calls are not affordable to everyone. So that's why I tried to go live as much as possible. I'm going to try to go at least twice a month. So you don't have to book the coaching call. The calls are not for everyone. Okay, but it's really a blessing. It's really an opportunity to be able to do this and answer the questions for free if possible. But if you have to send a super chat, I appreciate it. Okay. It needs to be over 4.99 for it to pop on my screen, just so you know. So if you're sending super chats of $1, don't send them. Don't just type your question and hopefully I will get to them as soon as I can. Just a heads up. Because if it's not over $5, the way it works on the back end, just so you know, every super chat kind of just pops on my screen at a certain threshold, but other thresholds I don't see them. Okay. So it's almost the same as just leaving a comment. Just a heads up. Anyway, let's get to the next super chat question. We got from BB. BB says, let's see. My ex recently broke up with me, but but came by the same day to mount my TV before he left. I confirmed what he said earlier. His answer's still the same. I wish you said how long ago the breakup happened, but the biggest thing I would say is you need to trust his action more than anything. So him doing favors for you, that's a nice gesture, but that's not the same thing as commitment. Okay. Men truly understand what commitment is. And if you're on this live and you're wondering how a guy feels about you, one of the easiest indicators is to see, did he ever commit to you fully? Meaning where there's clarity, there's a relationship. Those are much better scenarios because sometimes a guy can commit and things happen in the relationship and he walks away and he breaks up, and that's fine. But also, after the breakup, you need to watch what he's doing. And so he broke up with you, all right, but he's still doing a nice gesture for you. But the biggest indicator is he's not giving you back the commitment that he had. So you want to take his action as a sign that, okay, he means this. He's not interested in a relationship, and you need to pull away. You need to be in no contact. Don't ask him to do you any more favors. Also, if you join this live session for the topic of the segment, I already addressed that in the first 10 minutes or so. So, what I would say is, if you don't have any question, if you do, you can kick back with us. You can ask your question, grab a brewski, just hang out. But if you're just coming because of that specific topic, which is how will my ex know that I've changed, I want you to come back in about an hour or so. I'm going to end the live, and you'll be able to go on my channel and watch this video, and you'll see that whole segment when I address how will my ex know I've changed. That's in like the first 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. It's going to be live on the channel. You can hit the live tab probably in an hour from now. Okay. All right. Well, let's see here. But thanks for your question, BB. I really appreciate it. Let's see. We got Suppressor with the super chat says, my ex blocked me for not wanting to listen to how this guy she went on a date with made her feel. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you, bro. I'm kind of laughing with you because that's preposterous that she did that. So, how this guy she went on a date with made her feel and called me a selfish a hole for that. She unblocked me the other day saying she will unblock me if I get any important mail. Dude, never call or text this girl ever again. She's emotionally manipulating you. So she dumped you, and then she wants you to sit and listen to her sob stories about another guy. So the fact that you're even doing that, just so you know, she won't even be able to take you seriously. If a woman doesn't respect you, and this doesn't mean you have to be a toxic alpha male. It's just having self-respect. And you did in that case. So maybe you were sticking around and being too nice, but at least you got to a place where she pushed on your boundary too hard and you're like, I'm not listening to this. So good job on you. But my guess is you've probably been doing other things and allowing her to mistreat you, and that's why she thought she can get away with this. So never call or text this girl, whether she unblocks you or not, do nothing. And if she contacts you, you need to set a firm boundary. Say, hey, I'm not interested in talking about other dudes and all that. So if it's not about me and you talking about how you want to seduce me, I'm gonna go hang out with my buddies. Goodbye. That's what you need to do. You are being too nice and too flexible. Again, she did finally find your boundary when she was talking about another guy, so I'm proud of you for that. But chances are you've been letting other things slide, I could bet. The fact that she calls you an a-hole for not wanting to listen to that kind of BS tells me you've already trained her to think it's okay to handle you that way. But good job, bro. Anyway, next super chat is from Jiggy. Jiggy says, Black, what's up? Shout out to you, man. I'm doing good, by the way. I'm doing amazing. It's a great day. Says, I'll be big booking with I'll be booking with you soon, brother. Been in no contact, killing the gym and keeping stuff moving forward. Haven't heard anything from my ex, but I'm focusing on me and my son. Hope all is well. Thank you, man. And I'm super proud of you. That's all you can control right now, Jiggy, is to focus on yourself, focus on your responsibilities, make your life better, and you will naturally attract your ex back very likely. But here's the other thing I want you to think about. I was reading a book the other day, and I haven't finished it. Well, I've read it before, but I'm rereading it and I haven't finished it yet. It's called Atomic Habits. And Atomic Habits is a really good book. If you haven't checked it out, look it up. Okay. But it's not about relationship. It's just like life advice kind of thing. Right. And what Atomic Habits is talking about is basically setting goals, right? Like the vast majority of people, you have a goal. Let's pick something simple. Like, let's say you say, I don't know, I want to make $50,000 a year, right? And a lot of people focus on, okay, that's the goal, that's the goal. But in the vast majority of cases, um, most people don't end up accomplishing that goal, right? Why is that? Think about like the Olympics, for example. Everybody that runs the 100-meter race, their goal is, hey, I want to win the 100 meters. Duh. So it's like, so does everyone else. So what the book talks about is, okay, I want to win the 100-meter race. Okay. Well, if I became the type of person that would win the 100-meter race, what type of activities does that person do? Maybe they wake up early in the morning, maybe they practice twice a day, whatever the case may be. So, more focusing on the process than the goal. And most times, if you become the kind of person who would win, you end up winning. So it's the same thing when it comes to attracting your ex back, and you think about, okay, and it's not just your ex. Let's say in your case, your perfect woman. What is the type of guy that she would be attracted to? Okay, he's going to be purpose driven. He's going to be really focused on his career. He's going to be protective over the people that he loves. So your daughter and other people around you. He's going to be religious in the, whatever those things are. If you focus more on those activities, as soon as your ex gets a whiff of you, you know, by being no contact, she will start to see these very same qualities that you've been cultivating over the time that you've been apart. So one of the things I always say is it's either you get your ex back or you get someone better. I've coached people who broke up, they were desperate and pining for their ex, they self-improved, and they ended up starting to date someone that in their mind was 10 times better than their ex. And when the ex even came back, they're like, "Man, I can't believe I was so crazy about this guy or this gal." Okay. So super proud of you, Jiggy. Keep it up. Keep up the good work, bro. Okay, let's see. We're getting a lot of super chats. I appreciate it. If you're tuned in and if you're asking non super chat questions, I promise I won't leave till I answer some of those. I'm just getting a lot of super chats and I appreciate it. And I have to prioritize the super chats first. Okay, let's see here. Made me smile. Sent a follow up. He says, I want to date my ex. Wait a minute. Let me go back to your first so I understand. Okay, so your question was how do I know how will my ex know I've changed? And then your follow-up is I want to date my ex's friend because I know my ex will get jealous. That she'll only respect my value if she sees another girl validate me. What do you say, big bro? No, that's not necessary. That's kind of petty. It's because of all the other women in the world, why would you pick her best friend or a friend to date? One, if that friend dates you, that's a shady friend. So I'd be very cautious around that kind of person. Who knows? She's a shyster. Like she might, she might have some STDs, the itch you can't scratch. I'd be very careful with that kind of friend. But the other thing is, you don't need to even stoop that low. Just live your life. If you're in the mode where you're dating, date other women, and she'll get a whiff of it when you're not reaching out to her. Or maybe you're on a dating app and she's swiping and she runs into your profile. It's more authentic when she accidentally sees you living your best life. I've coached a client where, he was out on the town with some friends and one of the girls at the bar was obsessed and just like chasing him and doing all that. And his ex happened to stumble into that bar. And that day she started blowing up his phone because she saw this other. First of all, he was holding court with his friends. He's kind of that typical leader, confident, assertive guy. So all his friends are like, he just really had this social proof about him. And then there was another woman who was, according to him, extremely attractive, who was chasing and vying for his attention. And so his ex saw that and literally that day starts blowing him up. Now, everyone's not going to have a textbook situation like that. But my point is just to go about living your life and improving your life to the best of your ability, and good things will happen for you. All right. But thanks for your question, man. Uh Next super chat is from Nutty Nutty about cleaning. Okay. 5 weeks of no contact. My ex texted me this. You got mail. I did a return to sender on your mail, but this one said it had a card in it, and I'm going to leave it in your mailbox. Feel free. I'm gonna leave it in the mailbox. Feel free to come get it. I would just get it, like if it's a debit card, and I wouldn't. You don't even need to acknowledge it. Just eventually she'll go to the mailbox and it won't be there. That's how you handle that because a lot of times that reach out is about you. She might have had that card for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but she's only using it now. So a lot of times, most situations like this, it is to get a rise or reaction out of you. And the best thing to do is to ignore it. because that's not a direct genuine reach out. And most times when I see people respond to something like this, you end up getting some kind of like, she's clueless, like, oh no, hope you're doing well, kind of thing. So just ignore it and go pick up your card if you need it. But thanks for your question. EJ, my ex hit me with a middle ground conversation. She wants to act at the same comfort level before the breakup and see how things are going next month. What does this mean and how should I move? Well, as long as she's willing to date you and spend time with you in person, then you're fine. But if she's asking you to do this, and for the most part, she's reluctant to spend time in person, and she's also telling you not to date anyone else, well, that's a selfish request. But if her middle ground means we're dating without a title, but she's willing to come to you, and again, you both understand it's a romantic kind of situation, then that's fine. You don't have to pressure commitment or anything like that at this point. The only way this is a red flag is if she asks you, if her middle ground is she wants you going on coffee dates, she wants you to walk her dog, to mow the lawn, go with her to buy groceries, and you're not really spending any romantic time together. And also she's telling you, oh, you better not be dating anyone else. That's when this is a red flag. Okay. I would not commit to exclusivity at this point. So if that's coming up, you can just say, hey, we're dating and we'll see how things go. But I cannot, tell you that I'm not open to dating anyone else if we're not in a relationship. So you don't want to give her so much security that she thinks that um she can drag her feet and take her sweet old time. Okay. But other than that, that doesn't sound like a terrible situation. Okay. Pinot Black says, I pretty much pack all my stuff and the anger, let her be angry. Hmm. But I do want to leave, just tried to prove a point. Hmm. She said she wouldn't have ever kicked me out and I left her. Okay, so don't have a lot of clear. Let me see if you asked a question before, Pino. Okay, so you didn't ask a question before, but I'm gonna make some assumptions here. You might have to correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm assuming what you're saying is she broke up with you, you lived together, but she didn't kick you out. So you were still living together, but she dumped you. And you packed your stuff and left. Ultimately, that's a good decision. Okay. And even if she's saying, oh, I wouldn't have kicked you out, no, let her experience the consequences of her decision. So the only time I suggest staying is when logistically you can't move right away. Like maybe you have a house together and the house needs to get sold, or there's kids involved. There's some cases where it's just more complex, where you can't just leave, and that's fine. That you can drag it out. But if you were in a position to be able to leave, that's perfectly fine. Let her experience the consequences of dumping you. A lot of times she wants to have you around, as a placeholder while she's doing her own thing emotionally. So good job, bro. Um, Let me say this. If you just joined, please do me a favor, hit the like button. We're going rapid fire here. We're going to get through all these questions here, and then we're going to circle back and do some of the free questions. Okay. And also, if you joined for the topic of the video, which is how will my ex know I've changed? I'm reiterating this because I have people, the way the live works, if you've heard this before, trust me, people are coming in and out. So some people are going to stick around for the whole thing. Some people are going to come in for 10 minutes and go to the gym and come back. So I'm just have to give these updates. So if you're tuned in for the topic of the live video, thank you. I already addressed that in the first 10 to 15 minutes of the live. So what you can do is you can check back in another 30 to 45 minutes, and this live stream is going to be on my channel. So you go to my channel, you hit the live tab, and you can watch this video in its entirety. Okay. And I addressed the topic of the video in the first 15 minutes or so of this live. Okay. So if that's all you're here for, you can check back in. Otherwise, if you have questions, stick around. Or if you just want to watch and hear other questions, stick around, grab a brewski, you know, grab a snack and hang with us. I really appreciate it. Okay. It's a blessing to have you guys here. If this is your first time as well, shout out to you. Okay, let's see here. Next question is from Erica. Erica says, X saw me out on a date. Good. 3 weeks later, he told my BFF how angry it made him, then asked me for a favor. I did it, but then told him we are not friends and no more favors. 2 months, no contact. I'm confused. Well, I wouldn't have done the favor. I don't know exactly what he asked you, but these are subtle ways your ex is trying to control you and trying to manipulate you. And depending on how intense this favor is, so for example, if you really had to go out of your way to make this favor happen, it's an indicator that okay, I still have her, right? So sometimes again, your ex will ask you to jump all these hurdles just as a signal to them as to how deep your feelings are. So him calling your friend and telling her how angry she is, that's fine. He's got to live with his decision. So I wouldn't react to that at all. And when he asked you for the favor, I would have just said no. But anyway, you've been in no contact since then, sounds like. So I can't tell, Erica, if you're combining. So if the breakup was 2 months ago, right? And then 3 weeks into the break, I can't tell. That's the part that's murky. I'm assuming that you've been in 2 months no contact since the favor. I hope so. And if that's the case, just continue what you're doing. But if the favor was like a week ago, 3 weeks ago, well, you kind of set yourself back. Okay. So start counting your no contact days since the last interaction. Okay. Thanks for your question. But the issue, to conclude, where you say I'm confused, the issue is you showed too much interest by doing that favor. I'm not telling you to be mean to your ex, but the moment a breakup happens, each person doesn't owe the other partner anything. The same way your ex doesn't owe you loyalty, they technically can go out and date someone and hook up with anyone else. It's the same way you don't owe them anything. So you shouldn't be doing favors and or giving them money or paying their bills, none of these things. Because doing that is just showing too much interest in them. But thanks for your question. The next question is from Kids Awful. Kids Awful says, ex broke no contact after 3 months, but still thinks things won't change. And it'll be a cycle of toxicity. When I mentioned to meet up, even though she can see I'm doing better in my education, fitness, and maturity. I also saw a few days ago after being over 2 weeks no contact again, she went back on a dating app and saw my profile. Well, yeah. So these are the things where again, she starts to feel uncomfortable being in no contact. She doesn't like it. And so she reaches out to you just to get that confirmation that you haven't moved on. The issue here, based on what you're telling me, I don't know how many conversations this was, but again, it's my job to read between the lines because this is what I do every day. So when you say, she reached out, but she thinks nothing would change and it'll be a cycle of toxicity when I mentioned to meet up. So this to me sounds like multiple conversations that have no goal in mind. So yeah, you eventually said, let's get together. And her answer is no. You get out of those. So you shouldn't even be talking about these things in too much detail about the cycle of toxicity and this and then back and forth. You should just get to the point. Hey, good to hear from you. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, I've been doing this. Great. When are you free to get together? And if she says no and starts giving you these excuses, just say, hey, I get it. And, maybe reach out to me if you change your mind. Have a good day. Get off the phone. Because all of that, all she did was just to get a rise out of you. get your emotions involved. And again, the fact that you're willing to even sit in and have these conversations already tells her that, oh, okay, I still got him. And guess what she does? 2 weeks later, she's back on the dating app. So you got to be careful about that. Okay. Alexis says X of 6 years, X of 6 years. Okay. 6 year relationship, I'm guessing. Broke up 6 months ago. We did no contact for 30 days. Recently, we talk often, and he feels that I'm treating him as if we're together. And now he's asking for me to back up a bit. Is there still a chance? Well, again, these are the things where you're doing too much. You're showing too much interest. And if you're showing, because again, think about it, he's the one reaping the benefits. So normally, right, if someone's giving you benefits, love, affection, and sex, whatever, you're usually not complaining about it unless it's getting too much. So even though you're broken up, the fact that he's telling you, whoa, 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 that means that even, you know, from his perspective, you're doing too much. This is why you kind of have to let him pursue you. He wouldn't be saying this if he was the one doing all the work. If he was the one making all the calls, setting all the dates, sending all the text messages, and you're just responding. If you were not giving him any sex or intimacy, not doing any favors, and when he complains, you say, hey, I only do those things with my boyfriend. Right. So again, it's very clear to me that sure, you may have started no contact, but as soon as maybe he initiated first or you did, you kind of took the ball and ran with it. That's what it's coming across to me. Because if he's complaining, that's what I like to call distancing language. Okay, so it's almost like a um mm, it's almost like a magnet. And you take two poles, the similar poles, like so if you take two magnets, the north pole on each side, and you bring them close to each other, they naturally repel. Okay, so but that doesn't happen if one magnet is over here and one magnet is over there. Okay, you want a situation where it's opposing poles and they're just kind of drawn to each other. But if you're forcing because you're doing all the work and kind of letting him off the hook, it gets so much that he's naturally actually distancing himself from you. Oh, you're starting to act like we're together. That's what I call distancing language. Okay. But hey, thanks for your question. You need to back up for sure. BB says it was last Wednesday, and he no longer texted or call. I still love him. It happened so sudden. Now I don't know what to do. BB, what was your first question? I broke up with me. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, it's only been a week, so there's nothing to do. This is the hardest part for most people is you just have a hard time staying away. Just because you love him, I need you to understand this. This is the harshest thing you got to understand about breakups, but this is human nature. Your ex doesn't care how you feel about him. This is harsh to hear. It's a good thing. It's nice. It's sweet. But what your ex cares more about is how he feels about you. So if he's not feeling the right things emotionally, he's just naturally going to be pulling away. And you can call him and tell him how deep your love is for him and beg and do all these things. If he's not feeling it in the moment, he's going to be running. So the issue here is as much as you care for him, you know, you need to give him space. You've not even been a whole week no contact. And it is hard emotionally, let me be fair, but you gotta have, some emotional self-control. Surround yourself by friends and family, and those people will help you get through this. But thanks for your question. Okay, next super chat is from um Marge. Ended my 2 year relationship Thursday. Tried getting her back Friday and Saturday. She did cry a lot and held me and said she's done. Haven't spoken 3 days. My question for you is why did you end it? I have a feeling you're in one of those situations where you were actually the one that was more invested. I don't know. You can correct me if I'm wrong. and maybe you complained about something, maybe she disrespected you, and in your frustration you said, I'm done. See, the biggest indication here to me is that when you come back a day later, she's like, nah. That tells me she likely wanted to break up as well. Sometimes, and it just depends on the person. But in my experience, sometimes if a woman doesn't want to break up with you, she might frustrate you in the relationship. She might not be there emotionally, just kind of pushing you to dump her because you had a very quick change of heart. So, it just sounds to me like you didn't want to break up deep down. But correct me if I'm wrong. Yep, he said, I got tired of it. Yep, she went off on me about something dumb. Yeah, so I can tell. So it's very obvious. I've just coached, I've talked to so many people. And in general, I'm telling you, um, women don't just leave Willie, especially women, both parties, but especially women. Women attach more in a very different way. And so if she's happy, if she's feeling secure, if she's deeply in love with you, if you break up with her, she's gonna be trying to fix it. And if you come around and say, "Hey, I'm sorry, I made a mistake," she won't just say, eh." Okay. So again, I'm not laughing at you or anything. I just want you to know I'm kind of laughing with you about the situation. It's but when you understand it, you won't take it personal. You just understand her better. Understand that, okay, deep down this is something she wanted. So I need to give her the breakup. I need to let her experience what she's asking for. But thanks for your question, bro. Risa Play says it's been 2 months, no contact, 4 weeks. She says she's confused and she thinks she likes girls. Okay. We work together. She watches me from afar all day. Well, next time she initiates with you, ask her on a date. You can't. I mean, maybe she's figuring out her sexuality and stuff. I mean, you can't control that. You let her be who she wants to be. But what I would say is if she's talking to you and talking about all these things, just say, hey, I want you to be yourself, and if you miss me and you want to see me, why don't we go grab a bite to eat? Right? Anyway, but there you go. Next super chat is from Doreen. Says, how do I initiate no contact? Should I block him? No, just be in no contact. No contact means you don't reach out. You don't need to There doesn't need to be a grand announcement like, hey, da-da-da-da-da-da, we're going no contact. You don't have to do that. Okay. Just don't reach out. Okay. Thanks for your question. Dominic Danby says, ex girlfriend, 2 years, broke up in March due to communication misunderstanding. She blocked me, messaged June on Facebook, then blocked. Okay. Went to see her week later, didn't want to talk. Saw her for a half an hour later, later she called the cop, sounds like. Got a warning, focus on self-improvement. What now? Her birthday is in a month. Well, obviously you've done too much. If you're getting to a point where you're getting the cops called on you, you need to for sure never reach out to them. And I know this is hard, okay? This is hard, but I need you to get this. If there's any chance, you need to let her come to you, as hard as that is. And you might have pushed her too far. I can't tell. Breakup happened March. So March, in almost 5 months. But if you're getting to the point where the cops are getting called on you, you're doing too much, bro. So there's nothing to do now. And you mentioned her birthday, like that's an excuse to reach out. Please don't. Okay. If the last interaction you guys had was the police being called on you, do not reach out to her, even if her father dies. Hate to get that morbid, but I need, there's no excuse at this point, especially if the cops are being involved. So as much as it hurts you, it's so important that you do nothing. If she misses you, especially the fact that you showed up at her house, the least she can do is send you a text like, hey, thought about you, whatever. Okay. But thanks for your question, bro. Nutty about cleaning with the follow up says, I'm getting unknown calls once a week since I left. Well, it could be her. Very likely is her. That's feminine energy. But unless she reaches out to you directly, you can't, you don't know what you don't know. So even if it is her, you got to wait for her to reach out. Okay. Anyway, if you just tuned in, please do me a favor, hit the like button. We're going to answer some more questions. Let's get some of the free questions. We got Falani, and I'm just looking up random questions. So throw your questions in now. Falani says, we're married for 5 years. This August 31st is our anniversary date. She broke up with me and says she wants a divorce. She has been gaslighting me and being disrespectful. Well, you need to give her space. I don't know if you guys live together, because that obviously complicates it, or if you have children. But especially when there's disrespect, if a woman is disrespecting you, you've been doing things that make her feel unsafe, likely emotionally, but sometimes it's also you're not showing up in your masculine energy. And so she feels the need to challenge you all the time. But anyway, do nothing. Next question is from Hangal. Tariq, and I'm getting winded, but I want to do a few more questions before I end it. I appreciate you all. I feel like I've been talking for a while. So we're going to do a few more questions. We're going to call it a day. I really, really do appreciate it. But let's get some more free questions here. We got, how many times does no contact work with the same person? Well, it just kind of depends. Okay. It kind of depends. I've seen people break up 3, 4 times and get back together. To me, that's more of an indication of that they're actually not compatible, and some people just keep trying to force things. So it depends on the person, but I've certainly seen people do no contact several times and get back together. But I don't necessarily think that's a good thing. If you know do no contact once or twice, by the third time you need to start taking it as a sign. Okay. Super chat from Mitzi says, Coach, a little confused. Back up top. I wrote back up top. I'm a little confused. Oh, see, this is why I said, yeah. If you had a question, you're better off typing it again. Type it now and I'll probably see it. There's so many questions I probably missed so if you had a question, type it again. Let's see here. G Miller says, my girlfriend, mother of my child, reached out during no contact for 3 months, and I took her back, but I noticed the difference of her in lack of communication with me. Where should I go? What should I do? Well, if you guys are in a committed relationship, that's a good thing. What you want to start to do is you want to match a mirror. So if she's not communicating with you, you need to pull back a little bit and just see what she does. Okay. You want to match a mirror. I'm not saying this doesn't need to be a game, because ultimately, if you're at a point where you pulling back means you don't talk to your girlfriend for a week, that's kind of weird. At that point, you need to pick up the phone and say, what's going on? Right. But if she's like super slow to respond and she doesn't text you all day, just sit back and just see what she does. So that's where I'd start. And then you kind of escalate from there, and before you get to worst case scenario. Milan Babe says, begged for a whole month, been no contact for 2 weeks now. 2 weeks ago, he commented on my Instagram video, saw another strange comment asking if I'm in a relationship. Yesterday, he wished my mom happy birthday. Well, these are good things. There's nothing really wrong with this, but it's not enough. This is what I call a direct indirect. So they're reaching out. He's reaching out to your page, but he's not really taking any serious action to bring the both of you closer. And that's his job. Okay. So, hang back. It's a good sign that he's doing something, but hopefully you're not responding to the breadcrumbs. Mitzi says, split in June. We have a 2-year old. I tried getting my things, and when I went to pick him up, he was upset that he didn't. He was upset that he didn't help me. He split with me. He gets mad when we speak. No contact. from me. Well, that's a more complicated situation. Like if you want to dive into it, you're probably better off booking a call because there's genuine reasons why your ex can get mad at you if you have a child. So, does he have access to the child? Is there any issues or friction with co-parenting or custody? And so, there's a lot of things that there could be genuine reasons why he is upset with you. Okay. So, I can't really tell from what you said. Oh, why didn't I answer your question, Hangall? Maybe I read the wrong question. See, I need glasses. So Hangal says my girlfriend broke up with me about 3 weeks ago, but recently she unsends the Instagram DMs of our last conversation, mostly unsends the negative words she said at the time. What could it mean? I mean, she's just trying to get your attention, which is good. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's nothing to do. And I made a video about this. You guys need to check this out, especially when you're getting breadcrumbs and you're confused. Go to my channel or just YouTube search. This is the exact way your ex would reach out to you when you're in no contact because it addresses a lot of these scenarios. So, all of those, in my opinion, are breadcrumbs. There's nothing to do, but it's a good sign because in a lot of cases, they know you're going to notice these things that they're doing. Okay. Super chat from Yokasum. Yeah. Ex fiance, no contact, 8 months. Any thoughts? 8 months is a long time. So at 8 months, if you were perfect, you never called or texted, you're getting to a point where it's time to let her go or him or whatever. Okay, and I know that's not what you want to hear, but 8 months is, I would never suggest you to still be, waiting by the phone for someone that dumped you 8 months ago, especially if you've been perfect and no contact. It's different if you've stayed in communication and calling and texting. Well, that's just like were messing it up. You didn't give them enough time to miss you. But if you've been perfect, and they're silent for 8 months, they're probably dating someone else. Unordinary. Okay, and we're gonna do three more questions and we're gonna call it a day. Okay. I appreciate it. Okay. Thank you all so much for being here. Be sure to like the video if you haven't already. I really, really, really appreciate it. It means a lot. Okay. Let's see here. Super chat from Unordinary something. Ex of 4 years broke up with me. Wanted to no contact since July 20th. Okay. July 20th. So about a month ago. Since August 8th to the 14th, she watched my stories and my uncle's Instagram stories. Continue no contact? Yes. Nothing to do. She also blocked me since May on Instagram. Da, 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 and around July, supposedly moved on to another person, as far as I know, but watches my stories. So chances are if she monkey branched, there's probably trouble in paradise. She's not exceedingly happy with the relationship. And this happens a lot. Once the what people call limerence, if you know what limerence is, it's the high we get when we're in a new relationship, the excitement. Once the limerence is over, one of the first things that happen is that your ex starts to compare you with the new person. And when they start to compare, a lot of times they'll be peeking in to see what you're doing, watching your stories and things like that. Do not react. What I want to tell you is go, like I said, look up the video I did. This is the exact way your ex will reach out, something like that. It addresses this. It seems like a lot of people are basically dealing with breadcrumbs. If their communication is not direct, for the most part, you can just ignore them, especially if you've already set a boundary. Dominic with the follow-up says, should I give up forever? I know we'd be so much happier now due to my self-improvement. Also, she may think that she won't contact me as I'll reject her due to calling the police. No, That's just you're creating an excuse, just to be clear. And I appreciate your question, and I'm not trying to be hard on you here, but sometimes I gotta give it to you like it is. You're creating an excuse that justifies you reaching out to her again. If she called the police, under no circumstance should you do anything. This is what put you here in the first place. Seriously. So look at this. And again, I want you, no one wants you to fix things with your ex as much as me. Okay. I want you to, because I like getting the positive testimonies. I love it. And it makes me feel happy. And I feel proud that I'm able to help you accomplish your goal. But I got to tell you what it looks like, especially from an attraction perspective. Her last interaction with you was exceedingly negative, so much so that she had to call a third party, the police, which is one of the most serious and it, it's one of the most powerful actions she can take to reject you. And so now you're saying, well, maybe she won't reach out because she'll be afraid of rejection. Can I write her a letter? At some point, the next thing is that she's going to put a restraining order on you. She's going to be telling her friends, "Oh my God, he's a do nothing." Your question, should I give up forever? Well, if she never reaches out to you ever again, assume it's over. Okay. So you're not even because one of the things I talk about on my channel is a Hail Mary, right? After a couple of months, is it fair to try one last time and send one message? You're beyond the Hail Mary. So yes, Dominic, if you never hear from her, assume it's over at this stage. You're past the Hail Mary. I would not send a Hail Mary if I were you. I would not call or text her. I would leave her alone forever. Okay. Please do not send any more super chats. I really appreciate it. I'm going to answer the super chats questions that are already sent, and then I'm going to answer three more free questions. Okay. So please, and I really appreciate you all. I really do. Thank you all so much. I can't be here all day, but I really appreciate it, guys. Let's see here. Let's get the ones I didn't answer yet. Okay, so we got a super chat from Miles Williams, says my ex baby mom blocks me, then keeps coming back after no contact. She's emotionally manipulating me and that I'm not there for her, and she continuously makes me feel less than a man. I don't know what she wants from me. Well, chances are she just wants you to stand up to her, because if she keeps coming back, that says there's a high attraction, and if she's the mother of your child, there's some interest there. But then when you said emotionally manipulating me and continuously makes me feel less than a man, to me that's a synonym for disrespect. And women generally don't disrespect men that they're in love with and men that have good boundaries with them. So chances are you're just not establishing boundaries with her, and you let her push you so far to where you eventually have to leave. But there's a way to lovingly set boundaries and say, babe, I'm crazy about you, but we don't talk to each other that way. Very simple, subtle things that you need to implement to make her respect you more. Okay. That's my guess, if I had to guess what's going on. Okay. Let's see here. Bit Bop, shout out to you, Bit Bop. Good to see you. Um, let's do two. Let's do a couple more questions. And we're gonna call it a day. Lady Hubby says, "Should I hold on? Let's see. Should I think the relationship is over if the guy puts a no contact rule in place while he takes space, is that what you mean? And doesn't necessarily want to reach out after the time frame is over?" Well, it's a little complicated, but if a guy asks for space, that's technically not a great sign. But if he gives you like, hey, we're gonna, not talk for 30 days, again, not a great sign, but it's 100% on him to reach out once the timeline is over. So if he says 30 days and it's been 60, that's not a good sign. Technically, you can reach out because you already had an agreement. You can say, hey, we talked about taking space for 30 days. Can we talk? In that situation, you can, but preferably you want the person who asked for space to reach out to you. Next question says, do these methods work if she's clinically bipolar? Well, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I'm just super interested in relationships, attraction, things like that. So if she has, like a medical condition, she's clinically bipolar, well, obviously, if she's been diagnosed, she needs to be on medication. And naturally, relationships with people who are bipolar are not going to be as smooth as someone who isn't, especially if she's not on medication or some kind of treatment. So that's not a great sign. Let's see. So, last question we're going to do here is from Brendan. Brendan says, my ex fiance I love dearly is leaving me to go to the Navy after being a good man, good provider, and being there for her. She's leaving me hanging to go to the Navy. How should I go forward? Chances are it's a lot deeper than that. Let me just tell you. Again, I've seen, you know, it'll surprise you. I've talked to a lot of people. It'll surprise you the things that women do when they're in love. So, and unfortunately, you being a good guy is not enough. It has more to do with how she feels about you. So I don't know the details of how you've actually been showing up, how many mistakes you've been making in the relationship, but definitely I would accept the breakup and let her experience the consequences. Obviously, the Navy makes it more complicated because she's kind of pursuing a goal as well. But being in the Navy in of itself is not grounds for a breakup. It complicates the relationship, but again, it's not grounds for a breakup. But anyway, that being said, I want to thank you all for being here. I thank you all for the questions. I really, really, really appreciate it. If I didn't get to answer your question, I will go live again before the end of the month. I don't know when, maybe a week from today. But I'll try to update you guys in the next video or in the community tab when next it's going to be. If you want to talk about your situation specifically in detail, you can book a call. If you click the link in my bio or in my profile, you'll find it. Book a call. I might have a couple of calls available and we can talk in detail. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you all for being here. If you haven't already, hit the like button for me before you go. And if you came for the subject of the video, which is how will my ex know I've changed, I want you to, I'm about to end this, and this video will be live on my channel, and you can go watch that. It's in the first 10 to 15 minutes. We talk about how will my ex know I've changed. Anyway, thank you all for being here. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.